Hi, my name is Mark. I've developed a new kind of stitch for crocheting that I call the Siberian Stitch. In a previous video I showed you the basics on how to perform this Siberian Stitch, and today I'd like to show you something a little more advanced. On today's video what we're going to do is increasing, decreasing, and changing of colors. That's primarily what it's going to be today. I've already done a chain 11, then turned and did a single crochet front loop only, so I have 10 stitches long. Then what you do is chain and turn, and I'd like to remind you that when you're doing Siberian Stitch, you need to crochet looser than you normally do, otherwise it's very difficult to get the stitch to work out right. And one of the things I have personally a problem with is tucking in the ends when I'm done with a project. So with Siberian Stitch, what I do is I lay the yarn along here between the two rows here and Siberian stitch across it. Then I can pull until that loop is gone, and as I Siberian stitch, the tail is crocheted right in with the project. The problem I have with it is when I'm tucking it in later, it always seems like my hook grabs hold of loose strands and it just creates a mess at the end. But what we're going to teach today is increasing and decreasing. When you increase on a regular crochet, it's very simple. You stitch twice in the same loops, and that's an increase. But with Siberian Stitch, the problem comes in where you have what amounts to be a front and a back of the project. So once you have a Siberian Stitch row here, you chain one and turn, there are 10 stitches. Now, as I move along, if I decide, hey, I want to increase, let's say I want to increase in this stitch, you crochet twice through those loops, and on this side you have your 2 stitches, but when you turn it around, these 2 stitches are both associated with this loop on the back side. So what you need to do is when you crochet back the other direction, you have to keep track of that particular stitch and crochet twice through that loop, through each of those 2 separate loops on the other side. So we'll finish off this short row here, chain and turn. So you can sort of see it right here. You have this loop that's supposed to go to both of those loops. And let's see what happens when you crochet up to that point. So now we're up to the increase area. And so you'll have to crochet through here and then through there, and then you've completed a single increase. So you have to increase A on the one side and then increase B on this side. And that's how you increase. And some patterns that are already posted on the internet, specifically the mitten pattern, that requires quite a bit of increasing. and you can chain 1 and turn, and you should have 11 stitches. Now we have a similar problem when it comes to decreasing. You decrease on one side, decrease A, then when you get to the other side, you'll have to decrease in a similar manner on the other side. So let's say we want to decrease here. You yarn over and pull through, then you insert the hook again, yarn over and pull through, and then you've decreased once on this side, but you still have 2 stitches on that side, and now you'll only have 1 on this side. So we'll continue on to the end of this row and turn and check it on the other side again. Now we're up to where we need to do the decrease B. And what you need to do is crochet through here and through there, sort of the opposite of when you were increasing. So you insert here, yarn over, and pull through. Then you have to go to the next stitch, and on that side it's the same stitch. Yarn over, pull through, and then complete a decrease B. And again, in the mitten pattern, that is something you'll be doing quite a bit of. But how do you add or switch from one color to another? That is a little on the tricky side too. So once you get to the row before you want the color, the new color, you pick up the new strand of yarn and you lay it in this groove between the front and the back of where you're crocheting. Just like that. Sort of like you did with this tail back here. And you crochet over the top of it, and that holds it in place so that when you get to the next row, you can switch to the new color very easily. I would suggest you do this a row ahead of time so that this strand of yarn has a corner to turn, and the friction will help keep everything in place a little bit tighter. So instead of taking this all the way to the end, what you can do is drop that strand of yarn, finish up the last couple of stitches on this row, and chain 1 and turn. Now you have this strand of yarn here, and when you get up to that area, you can just simply swap one strand of yarn for the other. And at this point, lay this strand in, and just start crocheting with the other one. And that's how you switch colors. Now you can use that same process if you are on a bigger project and you need to switch skeins of the same color. But what I would suggest doing then is sort of alternating the 2 strands at that point. Keep in mind this will be the same color, so you won't see the difference. But if you alternate, then it will be a little bit tighter in the final project. And again, one thing you need to keep in mind is you need to crochet looser than you normally would, because especially when you are changing colors like this, it tends to get tighter than you would think. And then it pulls the whole project in and you get this dimple. It looks kind of ugly. But at this point, if you're simply changing colors and you don't want this color anymore, you could clip it and crochet over the last little bit of it and continue on with the new color. And that's how you switch colors and switch back and forth. One of the things, if you're switching back and forth, is you have to pay very careful attention so the strands of yarn don't get tangled. But if you're careful, you could switch back and forth 3, 4, 5 different kinds of yarn. And one of the pot holder patterns I have online has 4 strands of yarn at the same time. It gets a little tricky, so just pay attention to where your strands of yarn are coming from and what you're going to be doing with them, and you shouldn't have any problem. Good luck.